Hello once again. Welcome to Home Care Connection. I'm Harry Snyder, your host. Home Care Connection is a show brought to you by the Rutland Area Visiting Nurse Association and Hospice. Today, we want to tell you about private in-home care and how it can help you and loved ones stay safe and independent at home. My guests on the program today are Sarah King and Heather Baker with RAVNAH's Care Plus program. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's share some interesting statistics with our audience. In 2011, more than 8,000 people will turn 65 every day. People reaching 65 have an average life expectancy of an additional 19 years. Several studies have found that 89% of seniors want to age in their homes as long as possible. When compared to the costs associated with a retirement community, private duty home care is a very affordable option for many seniors. For example, the average annual cost for a nursing home resident is more than $69,000 a year. The average annual cost for someone in an assisted living facility is $36,000 a year. And for seniors who wish to remain in their home and receive 20 hours of companion care per week, the average cost is roughly $18,000. Quite a difference to the pocketbooks when people are facing these kinds of decisions, especially in these times. Clearly, there are financial benefits to receiving care at home. So I think the best way to get started is perhaps just to do a little bit of history, and maybe you could just tell us a little bit about how Care Plus came about and how it evolved in the VNA.
We've actually had a private duty program for several years, but we felt that there was an opportunity in the community for people who weren't necessarily qualifying for home care to give them assistance with other daily activities, things, simple things that would be simple to you and I, but as you age, become more difficult. So that's when we really started the Care Plus program, to provide those services to those people at home so they could stay in their home, but don't necessarily need a nurse coming in every day to do that.
So when, at the VNA, a lot of times we talk about keeping people independent, keeping them in their homes. Our Care Plus program works in addition to our other programs?
Exactly. We can get a patient in Care Plus two ways. We could actually have somebody just call Heather and say, I have a parent that's at home, they're elderly, and I would like somebody to go in and just help them, get in and out of bed in the morning, maybe assist with some meals. Or we could get a call from one of our nurses on the home care side and say, I have this patient, we can't be in there all day, but they need some other assistance. So we actually get referrals from two different sources.
That's great. And folks who are in our private duty program, part of the reason why they're there is because they aren't eligible for Medicare or Medicaid.
Correct. They don't have a skill that qualifies them to be in
a medical skill.
Right.
That's, so then how would we define what is private duty care then?
Private duty care is care where it's paid privately, or you may have a long-term care insurance policy that covers the cost of the care. But, it's a 50-50. Some people don't have that policy and others just pay privately for the care. And it's either for a personal care attendant or a licensed nursing aide who will come in and do those things that I just mentioned to you before. Help them get into bed, out of bed, give them a shower, do some meal prep, even some homemaking services.
Thanks. So what kind of care do the folks in Care Plus normally receive? What is the average patient or customer?
We offer services that go from personal care, which is helping them bathe, shower, even just washing their hair in the sink. We offer services of homemaking, which is, household chores, sweeping, mopping, vacuuming, dusting, stripping the bed, doing some laundry. We also offer transportation. If somebody needs to get to a doctor's appointment, we can take them to the doctor's appointment. We can also run errands for them. We can go to the pharmacy if they needed something picked up there. We can take them to appointments. We can just take them for a ride if they would prefer to go out, get out of the house and go for a ride.
That's pretty cool. I mean, because it sounds like our Care Plus program, much like our sort of bread and butter home care programs, really are designed to help keep people independent and in their homes.
Yes. A lot of our clients that we service right now, family lives out of town, out of state, or just, 2 towns over, or they still have jobs, and they just need somebody to look in on their parents and take them to the doctors, do some errands, and just check in on them.
Mm-hmm. And have you found over time that as people become more aware of what our private duty program offers, that we are beginning to offer different types of programs or the different types of requests for services?
Yes. We have had some requests for people to take people to have their blood drawn. We are talking about possibly starting some new services, which would include a phlebotomy program. We also have people that just request somebody to go in and just give them specifically a bath and help them dress. So we are also looking into possibly offering just a bath service for that specifically.
That sounds great. And again, as long as we're keeping people independent and in their homes, we are really providing that kind of quality of life support to them through the program.
Yes.
So maybe we can talk a little bit about sort of the benefits of to a patient or their families when they're part of a private duty program. Just from your perspective, what are some of the benefits that a patient or a family would derive from being part of our Care Plus program?
The perspective of a family member is a lot of times it's just a peace of mind that they know that somebody's going in and checking on their loved one, making sure that they've had their meal, have taken their pills, that they've had a shower. For the client, a lot of times for them it's just companionship. They're happy to see somebody, a face, whether it be once a week, once a month. It's just also a peace of mind for them. They know that their caregiver will be there at a specific time on the days that they request services.
And I think I heard you say earlier that a lot of our clients, or perhaps the family members of our clients, don't even live in the town that we're providing the care for the patient in.
Correct.
So I would think that if they knew that they were working with a program like Care Plus in an agency like the VNA, that really would be something that could make them feel a lot more comfortable about having their mom or dad or grandma or grandpa living on their own, knowing that their grandmother or grandfather want to live on their own in their own homes.
Correct. A lot of our clients that we do have right now are clients that have received services from visiting nurses previously, whether it be home care or hospice. We also do the other end of that. Some of our Care Plus clients go on hospice or into home care, which is a great thing because then we can kind of transition into a different program with them. So they won't have to have a whole new set of faces coming in if they go into a different program.
And that's certainly, when we talk about the VNA and we talk about the services that come from the VNA regarding, high-tech nursing care and therapy services, stuff like that, it is possible for a Care Plus patient to go from Care Plus to a home care program or even a hospice program, but it's also true that they can come from, if somebody is with our home care program for post-acute care from the hospital, they may graduate, if you will, into a point where they just simply need some help with the daily living stuff, and then they could be in Care Plus. Is that fair?
Correct. Yes.
And when that happens, is there communication between our private duty programs and our other programs in the VNA?
We have great communication between the aides that are in the home with the caregiver. We also have wonderful communication between the aides and the nurse, if they have a nurse or a physical therapist or even an occupational therapist that's in there. That's very important that we're all on the same page, that we all have the same goal, and we a lot of times work together on a care plan as well.
That's great.
Of what the client's needs are.
You know, I was under the impression, I think I heard sometimes that our Care Plus aides can also provide respite care for family members caring for a family member. Could you tell us a little bit about what respite care is and how that works in Care Plus?
Respite care is care for example, if you have a husband and wife that are living together and the wife is caring for the husband or vice versa. The respite care is so that the caregiver, which whether it be the husband or the wife, can go out for a set amount of time and just, you know, do other things other than having to worry about the care of their loved one. But in the same sense, they have a peace of mind knowing that there is somebody there that's highly qualified to take care of their loved one, and hopefully at that point they have already met the caregiver and have built a relationship where, you know, they trust each other and they're comfortable leaving for a certain amount of time.
And you know, it's interesting to me because a few months ago we did a program on caregivers, and one of the things that we talked about was the fact that very often family members who provide care think of the responsibility more as a responsibility and don't realize that they're actually in a caregiving role. And that respite, that ability to get out a little bit and sort of have a little bit of normalcy in their life is really actually quite beneficial to the caregivers, huh?
It's very important for the caregiver to get out so they don't burn out. It's important that they take care of themselves because they are caring for a loved one. If they get sick, you know what's going to happen to the loved one, and so it's important that, I mean, even if they just want to go out and have their hair done, to lunch with a friend, it's very important that a caregiver get out and utilize our program for some respite care.
So let's talk about sort of what the experience is. I've realized that my mother, my aunt, my father is starting to get a little frail. I'm a little concerned about him being at home all alone. He's not driving really anymore. They're not really shopping and stuff like that. So I find out about Care Plus as a patient or as a prospective client of Care Plus. What is my experience could be like? I call up. I'm guessing you.
Yes, you would.
And
call
what
me.
happens?
You would introduce yourself, I would introduce myself, and then I would tell you a little bit about our program, which I would tell you about the services that we provide, which are the homemaking services, the personal care, the errands, accompany people to the doctors. We can help with medications, make sure that they've taken their medications. Then I would kind of feel out how much time the person would need. And then I would offer to set up a time to come out and meet with them. If they live out of state, then I would ask them if it would be okay if I called their loved one and set up a time to meet with them. And I would go out with them, go over our program with them, and then ask them when they would like to start. Our goal for our program is once I meet with them, tell them about the program, and we do all the paperwork. My goal is to have a caregiver if they need it the next day, or if they need somebody to start that day, to have somebody available to start as soon as they need them.
That's great. And is there a typical client that we serve? I mean, do we have a...
No, we don't have any typical client. We have clients that just use us for companionship, that just want somebody to read to them if they've lost their eyesight. We have some that we go in and just strictly do respite for the caregiver that is in there 24 hours. We have some dementia clients, we have Alzheimer's clients. I mean, we do everything pretty much.
That's great.
And we do offer 24-hour care. So, I mean, we can go in whenever somebody needs us.
So we can in our Care Plus program, we can take care of a family member pretty much around the clock.
Yes.
And we have staff that work around the clock. Is that fair?
Yes, I do. Yep.
That's great. You know, in our sort of more traditional programs at the VNA, like Medicare or Medicaid type programs or hospice program, there's usually some kind of plan of care developed for the patient. Is there anything that is like that in Care Plus program?
Each client that we go into, after I do their visit, I come back into the office, and if they have nursing services or physical therapy services, occupational therapy, any of those services are ready, I kind of get in touch with the, I get in touch with the nurse or the physical therapist, and I find out what their plan of care is from their perspective, and then I kind of, the information that I've gathered from the client and use the care plan from the nurse or the physician or whatever, and then I put one together. So yes, there is a care plan in the house of each client. Usually we leave them on top of the refrigerator so everybody knows where they are. Some clients choose to leave them by, you know, if they have a chair that they sit in. So there is a care plan in the house, and it may change. And that's why after 3 months, I go back in, see how everything is doing. I do call the client before the 3 months just to see how everything's going, make sure that, you know, the caregiver is working out and personalities match up. But at 3 months, I do go in, look at the care plan, review the care plan with them, and see if they want to use other services than that they had previously signed up for. Some people say, oh, I don't need anybody to go out and run errands for me. But now they're finding that, wow, this is great. You know, I need somebody to run errands for me now. Sure. So their care plans change.
So I was going to say, the plan of care can change based on the client's needs.
Yes.
And it's not uncommon that you are in communication with our clients and their families during the course of time that we might be in somebody's house?
Some clients I talk to daily. Some I talk to once a month just to check in. Clients feel free to call me if they have a problem. I always tell them that, you know, personalities may not match up, and if that's the case, they can call me at any point. I leave them my business card with my name and how to reach me. I do carry a pager, so they page me if they have a problem or a question. I also tell the families to feel free to call me at any point if they have any concerns or any questions as well. That's
great. I mean, because that is sort of on top of the care that we're already providing. We're not only in there with our LNAs and our personal care attendants, but in fact, you also have interactions with clients on a fairly regular or an as-needed basis. Let's put it that way.
Yes, and I do make some visits myself as well.
Oh, that's great.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll bet. So, Lynn, you know, I heard you mention that sometimes you're looking at the fit between the caregiver and the patient. Is that a part of how we do work? Could you talk a little bit more about that whole fit part and what that means?
Sure. I have, I think, 42 caregivers right now that work for me. And I know each and every one of them. I know their personalities, I know their strengths. So what I do is when I go in and do a new admission, I listen to the client, see what they need, kind of feel out their personality, and then look at who I've got available and whose personality would best match this client's personality, and go from there.
That's great. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about how we recruit caregivers for our Care Plus program. How do we go about doing that, generally speaking? What have you found to be successful?
Word of mouth, actually.
Really?
Yes, word of mouth actually works the best. We've hired a lot of caregivers from word of mouth. Some other ones that have applied found us on our website and saw that we were hiring. We did put out down in the Dorset, Manchester area, we were looking for caregivers down in that area, so we did advertise in a couple of local papers down there.
Okay.
But the majority of it is word of mouth, and to this day I still get a lot of applications that are referred by other employees, not just in the Care Plus program,
Right.
but also in the home care.
And do you find that there are some sort of common traits that most of our caregivers share?
Yes, they love this type of work, and they do it because they love it. They don't do it for a paycheck. And they are very caring individuals.
I've heard that this work really is very rewarding, but it's not something that people just sort of do for a paycheck. If they don't really have a passion for caring for people, it's kind of tough work to do.
It is. It's emotional. It can be physical. You may help with transfers. You do get attached and build bonds and relationships with clients who eventually may decline in health and eventually may pass on.
Right.
So it's very rewarding, but
Yeah.
it is very tough as well.
And as I understand it, it's not uncommon that our caregivers actually stay with us for quite some time at the VNA.
Correct. A lot of them that are working for me have been there. A couple of them have been there 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I had one tell me one day that she was going to retire from visiting nurses.
That's great. So now, okay, so we have this program. So I want to come on services. I give you a call. We talk about the program. There is a plan of care developed, and then we also have, I guess, some sort of visit schedule set up. And could we talk a little bit about, sort of the visit schedule, and also even what happens if we can't make a visit at a certain time, and then what happens?
Excuse me, when I go in and do my admission, I ask you what days of the week you were looking for and hours. And a lot of times clients will say, well, I don't like to get up early in the morning, so an afternoon visit best suits them. And they can choose what time in the afternoon. We do have a 3-hour minimum, so the caregiver would be in the client's home for a minimum of 3 hours. You don't have to just have the 3 hours. I have some that have 8-hour visits, some that have 24-hour care, some that have 12-hour care. It varies depending on what their needs are. And what we do is, when we do the plan of care, we look at what times they need, what days they need, and at any point they can increase their services or they can decrease their services. They're not signing a contract that says you absolutely have to maintain 6 hours for this amount of time. You can change it. A lot of people start with more hours and then they kind of tailor it back as they get better. If they're coming out of an example would be if somebody's coming out of the hospital or the nursing home and they need some help for, we go in for a week, 24-hour care.
Sort of get back up on their feet.
Correct. And then they can tailor it back to 12 hours or 6 hours a day. And some people aren't feeling well, or they just don't feel like having a visit. They can call that morning and we can either push their visit to another day if that caregiver is available another day. They may choose just to reschedule their visit for a different time, or a different, just hold off and wait for another week. So it's totally about the client and what their needs are.
That's great. And as I understand it, one of the advantages of having Care Plus be part of the VNA is that our Care Plus staff there is similar safeguards for how we hire people for Care Plus as there are in our regular programs.
Absolutely. We do the same background checks for adult and child abuse. We do a criminal background check, and then we also check with the Inspector General's office to see if there's ever been a complaint against that caregiver. So it's the same level of background checks for all of our employees, regardless of where they're working at RAVNAH.
And I mean, no matter what, while anyone can hire a private person to come in and help them out, one of the this is clearly a significant advantage to having a private duty program be part of an organization like the VNA, because our standards for the background checks are for all of our programs, and none of our employees who provide care do so without having going through some fairly rigorous background screening.
Right, and the nice thing about for the patients, if they hire through us, is that they don't have to do any of that work.
Right.
They can feel good that that background check has been done, you know, the hiring is done, and you know, if for some reason the personalities don't, you know, mesh, we will make sure that another caregiver goes in there that fits in better. They don't have to you know, do that really
Right.
difficult discussion with that caregiver that it's just not working out.
Absolutely.
Which is a nice benefit for the patient.
Yes, I would think that would be. I mean, being able to have, if you will, almost, you know, a pool of people, all who you know have, you know, no criminal records, no, you know,
Yeah.
all of that,
Right.
because you're working with an agency like the VNA.
Exactly.
That's got to be.
You should give them an ease. You
Yes,
know,
a peace of mind. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do our clients pay payroll taxes? Is that a?
Nothing. I mean, our clients aren't responsible for any payments to the caregivers themselves. I mean, any payment that they need to make would be to Care Plus. We pay the employees, we do all of the payroll taxes and everything that's associated with that. So again, it's for the ease of the patient.
Wow. So basically, if I am a client, I'm a person looking for a little bit of help at home, and I sign on to Care Plus,
Right.
I don't have to worry about the interview process. If the person doesn't work out, I can just make a phone call, and there's somebody else that comes in. I don't have to do any of the background check information. I don't have to do any of that.
Right. I mean, that fee that they're paying, you know, their rate that they're paying
Yep.
includes all of those administrative functions that we're taking care of at the office that they don't have to take care of.
That's amazing.
And so, I mean, it's all inclusive. All they do is they write their check to us for their services, and we do all of the background and the behind the scenes work.
That's great. It's really wonderful. So if someone is looking, what should one consider when one is looking for care for themselves or for a loved one in our? What are some of the things that people consider when they're looking for care?
I would personally consider long-term goals.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking to build a relationship with your caregiver, know that your caregiver eventually, if you would go on to hospice services, eventually your caregiver could go to hospice services with you. Or if you signed on to home care, they could go over into the home care with you as well. We do offer the nursing services as well. So I think that's definitely a big plus for the Care Plus program.
The continuum of care.
Absolutely.
From all stages, you know, you can do it from all stages up through, you know, the hospice care, as Heather said, you know. And there's not very many agencies in town that can say that. They can do that full spectrum of care.
Yeah. Because really, I could come into Care Plus, go into home care, or be in home care, go into Care Plus, and all of the services in home care and hospice and private duty all exist really under one roof at the VNA.
Yes.
Exactly.
And again, and like with all of our programs, it's really about quality of life, independence, and empowerment for our patients and their families.
Right.
Well, that's actually all the time that we have for today. So I would like to thank you, Sarah, and Heather for joining us. We want to remind you that if someone you know needs care at home, please have them call the Rutland Area VNA and Hospice. We'll be happy to talk to you. Thanks for joining us on Home Care Connection. Goodbye until next time.